So I was about halfway through a video about something rather crafty when a very bad decision that I made suddenly arrived in the mail. So we're gonna throw away that Minecraft stuff and well, actually it'll probably just be next week. And instead take a look at this rather goofy and mostly brand new 386 handheld system that I spent $200 on. We'll talk about where this thing came from, take it apart and see what makes it tick, and then we'll see if I can get $200 worth of fun out of it. So stay tuned. And if you enjoy that special mix of anticipation, bewilderment, and dread that can only come from the arrival of a half-forgotten late-night purchase, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. So this thing is the aptly named Hand 386, and it's a real 386 computer in a handheld form factor, as opposed to those dime a dozen handheld emulator consoles that litter eBay and Amazon. This thing promises to play your old DOS and early Windows games on native and pretty decent hardware. Now you might be asking, how does one make a new late 80s 386 system? And I'm glad you asked, because the uber nerd in me got really excited about that part. You see, 386 systems are actually still used in a ton of industrial controller type applications, usually packaged into a system on a chip. And this device uses just such an SoC, the M6117, which is a single chip containing a 386SX, EDO RAM controller, ISA interface, IDE interface, real-time clock, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. Basically, a complete early 90s 386SX home computer on a chip. If you watch the excellent CPU Galaxy channel, they actually have one of those chips on its normal home and industrial backplane. Now, according to the documentation, the M6117D in this thing is recycled from old industrial equipment, but everything else in here is new. It has 8 megs of RAM, a CF card adapter on the IDE channel, a Chips F65535 VGA card pumping out 256 colors at 640 by 480, and a Yamaha YMF 262M OPL3 sound card, and a built-in battery of dubious quality. It also supports a PS2 mouse and keyboard, VGA output, and external 8-bit ISA. All in all, this might be a really cool way to play Wolf 3D, which, as you might know, is literally the only thing I care about when it comes to computers. Now, I'd like to take a moment to address a bit of controversy surrounding this device's creator. As I understand it, this device and its sister, an 8088 tiny clamshell laptop that kind of looks like a Toshiba Libretto, they're the brainchild of a retro computing enthusiast in China who has the means to produce such devices. The 8088 machine, however, it uses an open source BIOS built by Sergei Kiselev, but it not only contravenes the open source license, it actually removes Sergei's name. I'm not saying that the builder of these devices did that on purpose. He could have bought it from a dubious source. But at the very least, they didn't fully account for the provenance of the open source software that they used. Again, this device does not use that BIOS, but out of gratitude for Sergei's hard work and contributions to the computing world, I'll link to his GitHub down below. Okay, so first, let's take a look at what else comes in this beautiful retail packaging right after this word about today's sponsor, PCBWay. Not only does PCBWay offer high-quality PCB prototyping and production, they also offer on-site PCB assembly and can source some of the components with their turnkey service. If you're doing a project like this, I bet your project needs more than just PCBs printed. Well, PCBWay now offers a ton of additional services: high-quality 3D printing, injection molding, CNC machining, and even sheet metal fabrication. Literally every part of your next project can be prototyped and built with PCBWay. So if you have any PCB or prototyping needs, I hope you'll give PCBWay.com a try. Alright, so here is the device itself, or as I believe it's pronounced in Australian, the Nugget. And it's been running for a little bit now as I've been filming, and it's a little warm. And we'll take a closer look around this thing in a minute. Let's see what else came in the box. All right, we have one anti-static bag full of goodies. Ooh, Ziploc. All right, we have a questionable mobile phone style power brick. Ooh, and a breakout board, which contains both of the PS2 ports and VGA out. Okay, that is very cool. That we will try later for sure, because technically this thing can be a desktop. Oh look, it's Lenovo branded. Yeah, look at that. Okay, quick walkthrough on the device. This is first impressions are it's not the highest quality plastic. You can kind of see some of the gubbins from the injection molding here. I do like that it's very lightly translucent and you can see the stuff inside, especially around the back here. This is ISA, which we don't have an adapter for. You probably would need to wire that up yourself. This is the PS2 and VGA out, which of course we do have the adapter for. This USB port is only for storage, not for other devices. So if you plug a USB flash drive in here, it will show up as the D drive. And this is the 1 GB CF card, which is connected to IDE, because of course CF basically is IDE. The power switch is right on the front of the device here, which boots it into Windows 95 and MS-DOS 7.10, and it has AM BIOS on it. There's also like a screen protector here, but it goes underneath the side bezel here, so I think we'll have to take it apart to take that off. I'm not entirely sure. DIR to list the contents of the CF card. And this keyboard is nothing to write home about. This is, rubberized. Feels much like a TV remote control on a budget TV. Anyway, we can type Win to get into Windows 95, which, let me tell you, that's a dream on a 386SX with 8 megs of memory. Now, we won't go too far into the stuff that's installed on here yet. Let's take this apart and see what's actually on the inside. All right, just a bunch of Phillips head screws. The brains of the system is right here, DM&P M6117D, the 386 system on a chip, which, well, controls everything in this thing. Branching out from there, we have the memory, the chips and technology chip, a chip labeled BIOS, and a chip labeled video. Power in, we have our lithium-ion battery, this is supposedly rated for 2500 milliamp hours. Let's see if this nicely comes off on the front here. I don't want to break it before I even have a chance to play Wolfenstein. There we go. All right. This looks like the connector for video. This has got to be the video controller board and a ribbon cable up to the LCD. You know, a lot of thought went into this board, actually. This is not just some slap-it-together device. This is a well-thought-out, custom-built machine, purpose-built to reuse that system on a chip for retro computing purposes. I really can't fault that, you know? Okay, there we go. Minty fresh. All right, so let's see what kind of software is on this thing, and apologize, this has pretty terrible vertical viewing angle, so I have to hold it kind of at a very precise angle so I can see it and you can see it. But let's start with the DIR/W. This is not a joy to type on. Goodness gracious. Oh, there is a game directory. Let's see what's in there. Oh my goodness, look at that. It already has Doom and Wolf 3D on here, along with some other stuff. Raptor, PAL, and SBVGM, and C2. Anyway, you know what I'm going to play. CD Wolf 3D. Oh, there she is. Oh, with sound. Ooh, it sounds pretty good. There's no external volume control, though. Oh, it looks great. Yeah, AdLib, Sound Blaster, sound. All right, let's do it. Get psyched. Oh, I can't believe I'm playing it on this goofy device. Fire is U button. Prefer open to be space. Nice. Oh, the goofy sounds. Okay, this thing is more fun already than I expected. No, actually, we're running into some problems here. The repeat on the W key is not working right. Or at least the pressing it down was not registering. Okay. The W button does not like me pressing it with my full finger. I have to like hit it with my thumbnail for it to register and stay down. But once I have the hang of it, it's not too bad. And you know, the colors on this display are actually pretty vibrant. Not bad at all. Get out of here. Alright, well, once you get the hang of this keyboard, it's not too bad. These keys were like plastic or something hard. Maybe that would be a little better. Ah, you got me. Ooh, it is getting a little bit uncomfortably warm right here. Alright, well, it took me far longer than I'd like to admit to actually dig out a PS2 mouse, but here is a nice laser mouse connected through the adapter here, and it does work. So yeah, check that out. Look at that redraw. Oh, that's something. But yeah, let's use this mouse to see what's actually installed on Windows 95 here. All right, so I have it propped up here, so hopefully we can both see what's going on, and also trying to angle this to eliminate the screen door effect or the moire pattern on the screen. I don't know, this screen is actually pretty nice. I don't know how to control the brightness. But yeah, so we have, oh look, removable disc A, disc C, and removable disc D, which I assume is not going to show anything since there's no USB drive in there. Yeah, so we have all the general default Windows 95 stuff. We can play the hardest to see game of solitaire ever. Actually, this isn't that bad. What else is on here? Internet Explorer, obviously. Of course, we don't have any way to connect to the outside world. Although, there is Serial on here somehow. You know, at least built into the chipset. So again, maybe an ISA Ethernet card if we wanted to go online with our 386. Oh, an AOL free trial. Excellent. Let's get a free trial to AOL. Apparently this can do 800 by 600. Though I'm a little bit afraid to put it into that setting lest we get locked out of here. Now we've got some MIDI files. Oh, and yeah, we've got a little flashing red light here now. So I think our battery is getting low. Ooh, MIDI. Let's plug this into power and then try to use it as a desktop. Okay, so I am way more excited for this than I probably should be, but here is my desktop Hand 386 setup. I have my giant Sony Trinitron Multiscan 200 SF, a filthy eMachines keyboard with thrift shop sticker still on it, my PS2 laser mouse, and 2 powered speakers with no volume control, which may be a mistake. I should probably plug the monitor in, right? All right, here goes nothing. It is very faint on the display, and actually, I kind of expected that because according to the documentation, using the external VGA will make the inbuilt display dimmer because I think they're just wired in series. But yeah, look, there we go, Windows 95. Let's see if I can just up the brightness on here as far as it'll go. Now that's what I call a dual head setup. Yeah, I don't think you can see it, but it is still being displayed on the handheld as well. Okay, it is very dim on the display, even with brightness really cranked up. I mean, it's definitely cool that this can be done, but I don't think this is going to be your desktop replacement. Wow, these speakers must not be shielded very well. They are really singing based on whatever is on the display, or maybe it's interference from this device. I'm going to unplug those for a second. Yeah, look at that. This is definitely a 386 Windows experience. Just look at this lag in paint here. It's all straight lines. Oh goodness. Save changes? No thank you. Might as well go back to DOS mode and play some games. Maybe they'll be a little easier to see here. Certainly much easier to type with a real keyboard. Oh, it's not in stereo. It's all coming out of one speaker. It's louder coming out of the device than out of these speakers, which make horrible interference noises. It's just very washed out. And I don't think there's anything you can do about that, because that's just how the VGA is wired up in this thing. Alright, well, I guess we have to try Doom, right? What kind of retro channel would this be if something has Doom on it and I didn't try to play Doom? Ooh. Frame rates are an issue. Alright, well, this is not the best Doom experience. So, would I recommend this device? Absolutely not. Not a chance. For the same price, $200, you can find a heck of a real 386 from back in the day, probably with a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse, and have a much better gaming experience. Heck, for $200, you might even be able to find something like a real Toshiba Libretto from back in the day, which is a much faster machine, natively supporting Windows 95, with a good keyboard, well, comparatively good, and yeah, bigger screen, better gaming experience, better sound, a mouse is built in. I mean, yeah, I would take a Libretto over this thing any day. That being said, though, this is pretty neat. I mean, $200 is a big asking price for this, but if you consider that it's more or less a hobbyist project, you know, released in a very small quantity. In fact, I think you only had 11 for sale and they're all sold. You know, it's kind of cool. I really like the use of that system on a chip, and I had a lot more fun with this thing than I was expecting. So if you know what you're getting into and you're looking for just a neat toy and, yeah, want to play some Wolfenstein 3D, something like this is actually pretty cool. But that'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more shenanigans like this, please subscribe down below. And yeah, I think maybe in a bonus video, we'll try to install some weird software on here, like an alternative operating system. Maybe a 386 Linux, like TinyCore. Thank you so much for watching. And a special thanks to Alex Hoffman, Andrew Nicholson, Camila Noceda, Chris Allegretta, Chris Biggs, Chris Calderon, Chris Nelson, Control-Alt-Reese, Daniel Hubbard, Frodo Jedi, Gaspar Heller, Greg Hrutke, Harris Brody, Jason Papaz, Justin Hemmings, Justin Reed, Lyle Truid, Michael Mulhern, Paul Spencer, Ryan, Scott Cedarbaum, Scott Thompson, Sutek, Tom Woodfin, Unknown Soldier 41, who are my highest tiered patrons, and all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make these shenanigans possible.